So one thing that I do that students don't, and I think they should do, is use both the question and the diagram. So a lot of students just try to paraphrase from the question, but it's a very good idea to look at the diagram as well and get some information from the diagram if you can. For example, here, I took this information that there are 16 countries. I counted them out. So just something to add. And this also differentiates your introduction. Like there's something different from the question. Even if you're copying the question introduction, there's always something different if you take something from the diagram. So one suggestion is that in this case, the question doesn't mention that there are 16 countries, but I took that there are 16 countries. Second thing that I've observed over a period of time, paraphrasing is overrated. We spend a lot of time in the introduction because we want to paraphrase. But first of all, I don't think it doesn't help us that much. It's not worth the risk, worth the time we spend on it. So I would say introduction is not the place to overthink. It's a good place to just write the data. Don't overthink about it, that what's given here, let me paraphrase it. It won't make much of a difference. Third, always mention the type of graph. So it's a big blunder to write it's a diagram, call it the graph. Just don't call it the graph. Always mention the name of the graph. For example, in this case, we're writing the bar graph. So write the bar graph. And this is the only place where I write the name of the graphs. So it's really important that in the introduction, we name the graph. Second, second last point, don't write units. I don't think it's needed to write that the information is given in percentage or the information is given in meters. So a lot of students do that. I don't think it's needed. It's a waste of space. You're going to give the data. When you mention the data, it's going to be clear that the what the units are. So you don't need to write it here. And I don't like when we write the bar graph illustrates information about. Don't say information about. Directly say what the information is. So the bar graph illustrates the literacy rates in 16 different countries in the world in 2004. Nothing information about something. I don't like this language. I prefer not to use it. I like to go straight. I feel this is not suitable, and there's a reason for it. The reason is why don't I prefer writing information about? Because see, in the passage, it might be written information about something, but they have the advantage of the diagram. When they're reading our answer, they don't have the diagram in front of them. They're just reading our answer. So don't write information about. Clearly tell what the information is. I'll clarify this point later on. I think I made a mess of it. I'll clarify this. Let some question come and I'll clarify it. So these are the two introductions I made. I did a bit of paraphrasing in the second one. I didn't do a lot of paraphrasing in the first one. Trust me, I don't think they'll make a much big difference in bands. So here I took the exact thing. The bar graph illustrates the literacy rates copied in 16 different countries in the world in 2004. So exactly, I've taken exactly what's written here. In the second case, I have given the definition of literacy rate. The bar graph illustrates the percentage of people who were literate in 16 different countries in 2004. Literacy is nothing but the percentage of people who were literate. I knew that, so I could paraphrase it here. Even if I didn't know that, it wouldn't make much of a difference. So that's how I write my introduction. If you have any questions about the introduction, you can ask me. Otherwise, I don't think it's a space you should waste time on, and you should be quick about it. That's my info about the introduction. Is it clear?
Sir, we can write proportion in place of percentage.
Yes, you can write proportion, but other words are not suitable, like percentile, ratio. They're all unsuitable. The only other word that I prefer is proportion. So write proportion or percentage.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Doubts? Are you clear with how to write the introduction, or do you have problems?
Yes, sir. Somewhere we find that compares or something illustrate or percentage are same. I think which one collocate more, illustrate or compares directly?
Yes.
Which one is direct?
So you can also use compares. You can also use illustrates. I do not like the other words. Depicts. There are so many other words. I can dictate it to them, but don't write them right now. Hold on. Reveals. I feel they're all not suitable, so I don't use them. Why do I think they're not suitable? Because I attended a session. It was called TTT. TTT is Train the Trainer, where they give training to teachers. It was way back. I think it's been 6-7 years. And the examiner, she was from a foreign country. And she said, these all words mean different things. So we don't prefer to use these words. We prefer illustrates or compares. These are the only two words we prefer. Other words mean something else slightly. So avoid using them. So that's what she said. So from that point onwards, I've stopped using these words. So if you have a question about these words, I don't like them. I don't use them. It was told to me by an examiner. I'm following her.
We can write like the 2-bar graphs. Then the ask is compulsory to write with graph or illustrate.
Sorry, can you repeat, Nancy? Can you repeat your question, please? Yes.
Sir, there is can we write the illustrate like S है ना उसके पीछे?
Yes.
तो हम जब लिखेंगे मतलब 2-bar graphs हैं तो उसके साथ जो लिखेंगे बार ग्राफ्स उसके साथ S लगेगी कि illustrate के साथ S लगेगी?
Okay, I'll clarify this question. Okay. So in English, there is a rule called a subject-verb agreement.
Yes.
It's a grammar rule. The grammar rule says that it's a very simple rule. When your subject is singular, when the subject is singular, then the verb that follows that subject has an S in it. For example, if the subject is graph, then the verb will have an S in it. So for example, we'll use illustrates because the subject is singular. It's graph, it's not graphs. When the subject is plural, it doesn't have an S in it, it's plural. Then the verb will not have an S. For example, it's graphs, then it's plural. Then the verb will not have an S, it will be singular. Illustrate. So it depends upon your subject. If the subject is singular, the verb has an S. If the subject is plural, the verb doesn't have an S. That's the rule.
Okay.
Does that clarify?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when there are graphs, it's plural. It should not be plural. It should not be illustrate. It should be illustrate. You're right. Okay. Moving forward.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Here are 2 bar graph. If bar graph and pie chart both will be there and will be
What do
question
you
will
think?
come to compare.
Is it plural or singular? What do you think?
I think 2 are there, so plural.
Plural, so there should be no S. You're right.
No, but comparison between bar graph and pie chart. I got question last time like that. So what
Okay.
will do there?
Okay.
How to write?
Okay. So first of all, I'll clarify the exam doesn't happen like that. There's never a comparison between a pie chart and a bar chart. The pie chart will be showing some other information. The bar chart will be showing some other information. Am I
Yes,
right?
sir. Last time I got like that type question, so that in exam only I got.
Was it a
so-
comparison between the bar graph and the pie chart? I don't think it will be because they'll be showing different information.
Yes, information was different, but
Yes.
question was that to compare only.
Doesn't matter, na? You just write compares the pie chart and bar chart, compares or illustrates. It's just a word. You're over focusing on that word. It's not a comparison between the two. It's never a comparison between the pie chart. The compares doesn't come here. Like compares cannot come here. It's the pie chart and the bar chart compare different information. That will be written. For example, the compares would be here. So it's not comparing the bar chart and the pie chart. They are two different things. You have to compare the information given inside them. Are you clear? The compares would be here,
Okay.
right? For example, compares the literacy rate and something else. I think the question would be like that. So here they're not comparing the pie chart with the bar chart. They're two separate things. We are comparing the pie chart differently and we are comparing the bar chart differently. They are different things altogether. Okay. Nafisa has a question. Is it graph or chart? There's no difference. You can call them a graph or you can call them a chart. It's just both are all right. Okay.
Okay, so you can say pie chart also, pie graph also, both of them.
Both of
Because
them.
I thought graph is showing like a sequence of movement, like a line.
No, the
something
bar
like
graph
that.
also, I say bar graph is also fine. The bar chart is also fine. The pie chart is
Okay.
also fine. It's all fine.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
so what is the meaning of don't write units? Like, explain it,
Don't write
please.
units. Some students have a habit of writing here. The information is given in units. In the introduction itself, they write this line. The information is given in units. Given in
All right.
percentage. I think it's a waste of space. Don't write this line. It's a very childish line. Okay.
Alright.
Okay. Anything else? Any other doubts? Okay, I'm moving forward. If you want me to come back, I can come back, and we can address it. Okay. So now, okay, wait. Sorry, my settings got okay. So now I've taken another one, and now you are going to help me write. Okay. Please pick up information from both the things. So here it's calling them graph. So we are going to call them graphs. The bar graph. We are going to mention the name of the graph. That information also we are not getting from the question, we are getting from the diagram. Then they are saying shows the price of low fat milk and full fat milk. We can see that. Low fat milk and full fat milk, we can see that. Two supermarkets, supermarket A and supermarket B in the UK from this year to this year. This thing will be very clear. The bar chart illustrates illustrates the prices of low fat and full fat milk per liter. This information got from here. The prices are given per liter in two supermarkets, A and B, in the UK between 2007 and 2012. So I write it very simply. The things I took from the diagram, first of all, the name of the chart. The other thing, the name of the supermarkets A and B. These are the things that I took from the diagram and I wrote this. I didn't paraphrase it much. I didn't need to. I don't think I needed. It would help me much. So I'm not going to do that. Okay. Now, some of you might have a question. Why didn't you write bar graphs here? There are two charts. Okay. It doesn't really matter. You can consider it one. You can consider it two. It's your wish. You can call it a bar graph. You can call it bar graphs. It makes no difference. Even if there are three, you can call them pie chart. It doesn't matter. Just don't think about it too much. They don't go over it literally that these are 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't go over it literally. But if you write bar graph, make sure you write illustrates. If you write bar graphs, make sure you write illustrate. Just make sure your subject verb agreement is correct. Don't focus on this small thing. Okay. Does that answer the question? It doesn't make a difference. What matters is your grammar. Your grammar should be correct. Subject verb agreement should be correct. Now, some people can consider it one diagram. So it doesn't matter. Some people can consider it two diagrams. It doesn't matter to me. Okay. For me, the only thing that matters is my English is correct. I'm writing the subject verb agreement is okay. Bar graphs illustrate, bar graph illustrates. Okay. Any other doubt? Okay. Then we have a doubt when to use between and when to use from and to. Okay. Here there's a small mistake. It should be 2008. You're right. So when to use between and when to use from and to. Can someone tell me this? Can someone answer this?
I think in the IELTS it is not it doesn't mind between from to or between and.
You're perfect. Your answer is perfect. But what's the actual difference? You're right.
Yeah, from to is give the
Actually,
detail about
Go ahead,
year within the between the 2 years. But if it explain about the only 2 years, we can use between and end.
No, your explanation is not correct. But
From is for plus.
sir,
Both have got
actually,
yes.
sir, actually, these two are synonyms, means like both have same meaning, but like from to two is showing the beginning and the end of the period, but between this and that is like again showing beginning and the end, but it is showing actually the events happen between these 2 points of time.
Okay. Okay, so I'll clarify this in a proper manner. Your explanation is quite close, but I'll clarify it in a simpler manner. So from to means like I write from 4 to 6. means it started at 4, it ended at 6. That's what it means. Continuously from 4 to 6. That's what it means. Between and means it could have happened anywhere between 4 and 6 means it could have happened anywhere between 4 and 6. For it could have started at 4:30 and it could have ended at 5 o'clock. Between doesn't mean the starting point and ending point. It means it happened between that period. It could have started anywhere. It could have lasted 15 minutes also, 20 minutes also. If I say the function is from 4 to 6, I mean the function will start at 4 and the function will end at 6. If the function is between 4 and 6, I mean it is somewhere between 4 and 6. It can start at 4:30, it can end at 5. It will start after 4 and it will end before 6. Is it clear, the difference? In IELTS, there is no difference, so you don't care about it. But practically, I've told you the difference. Is it clear, or should I clarify again? Nancy,
Yes, sir, clear.
okay. Anyone else has a
मेरी
problem?
class लगी.
Anyone else has a doubt?
No, sir.
No, okay. Okay, so that is it. Elizabeth, it's never between and from. You please don't make this mistake. The combination is from and to and between and. A lot of students do between and to. Please don't do that. Don't be grammatically wrong. It's between and it's from and to. So please make sure you don't do this small mistake, grammatical mistake. It's from and to and between and. Okay. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, now let's come to the overview. Okay, before I start the overviews, I want you to focus on one thing. That's the second line in the question. So let's pay attention to the second line in the question. What does it say? Summarize the information below by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. I don't want you to read this line ever again. This is the only time I'm making you read it. But today I want to clarify something that we need to understand from this statement. First of all, it is telling us report the main features. So what does that mean? If we skip some of the things, it doesn't matter. We have to report the main features. We don't need to mention everything. For example, in this graph, I don't need to mention every year's data. That is not even being asked to me. What is being asked is to report the main features. So I can skip the irrelevant information. Second thing, the question itself is asking me to make comparisons. So we are going to focus on comparisons. So please make sure that you follow these instructions. This is true for every data graph. Okay. So I'm moving forward if this information is clear. Okay. So overview, because the focus is on comparisons, the first step that I do when I look at a graph, I focus on how many types of comparisons are possible in this graph. Without that, I cannot answer the graph. So I looked here. Generally, there are comparisons lie between 1 and 3. You can make one comparison, 2 comparisons, or 3 comparisons. Okay. In this case, if you look, there's only one comparison possible. The comparison is between countries. There's nothing else to compare with. I can just compare Georgia with Slovakia, Slovakia with Israel. I can compare these countries with each other. I don't have any other comparison. For example, if there were 2 years, 2004 and 2005, the data was also given for 2005. I can also have compared the data from 2004 and 2005, between 2004 and 2005. But that is not given. I've been given data for only 1 year for 16 countries. So only one type of comparison is possible in this graph, which is between countries. So after doing that, what I do next is I figure out which word to use for comparison so that I don't get confused. Here I have a rule. I'll teach you which word to use. So we'll just follow that right now. After that, you do the comparison. For example, here I'm going to do the comparison. If I look here, it's really simple. I'm comparing the countries and I figured out Georgia had the maximum and this country, Sierra Leone, had the minimum. That's it. Georgia and Slovakia had the maximum literacy rates and Sierra Leone had the minimum literacy rate. I don't need to focus on anything else. That's the comparison done. And so now which word to use for comparison, that you need to master so that you don't get confused. So I'm moving forward to that element. which word to use for comparison. Okay, so for me in the introduction, in the overall, I use 3 types of words. First is more and less, second is maximum and minimum, and third is increase, decrease, fluctuate, remain stable. So when do I use them? How do I use them? Let me clarify. So when do I use more and less? More and less is a good word to use in the introduction when the number of comparisons are between limited items. For example, only 2-3 items. For example, here I have just 3 students, A, B, and C. I have been given their bands. I have to compare between A, B, and C. If there were many students, there were multiple students, I would not use more and less. I only use it when there is comparison between 2 to 3 items. So for example, there are 3 here, I can use more and less. If there were 2 here, I could use more and less. Otherwise, I avoid using more and less. Otherwise, it's not a good practice to use more and less if there are multiple items. If there are limited items, 2 and 3, you can use it. How do we use it? We just look at it, what is more. For example, C is more than A and B. If you look at it, C is more than, C bands are more than A and B. B bands are more than A. A's bands are less than B and C. B's bands are less than C. So you can make a comparison in this case. Here, I would not use this word because there are 16 countries. If there were only 2-3 countries, I would have used this word. I would have said Georgia's and Slovakia's literacy rate is more than Israel. If there are only 3 countries, I would have used this word. Georgia's and Slovakia's literacy rate was more than Israel. That would have been my sentence. That's it. But I have multiple countries, so I'm avoiding this word now. Okay. Next word that you need to use is maximum. It's the same word. It's similar to more and less, but we use for multiple items. For example, if I have comparison between 6, more than 2-3 things, starting with 4, I start using maximum. Even at 3, I use maximum sometimes. So after 2, you can start using maximum. So more than 2-3 items you can use. For example, in this case, if you look, F has the maximum bands. F is the maximum, right? It's 10. Rest all are less than 10. Maximum means more than everything else. A means A is the minimum, it's 5. So I'll give you an idea. Normally when there's a comparison between 2 items, like there's a diagram with girls and boys, men and women, old people, young people, comparisons like that between 2 things, you will end up using the word more or less. If there are multiple items like countries, multiple countries, you will end up using the word maximum. That's what normally happens. So I've given you an idea here when to use what. The third word that I use is increase, decrease, fluctuate, remain stable. Now please understand when to use this. This is used if a time period is given. For example, there's a time period here. It starts at 1990. It ends at 2010. So now what is happening to A? In 1990, it was 5, and then it increased to 7. Here I will use the word 7, increase. A's bands increased from 5 to 7. A lot of students use it here. They'll use here, A increased to 7. See, A is 5, C is 7. You cannot write A increased. A did not increase. It was 5, C was 7. C was more than A. You cannot use the word increased here. You can use the word increase, decrease only when there are multiple years. There's a time period. So 1995, 2010, 7. Here you can use the word increase, decrease. Similar, we'll take another case B, 1990, it's 7. By 2010, it's 5. We'll use the word decrease. If it remains stable, you'll use remain stable. It's the same thing. You end up using different words. 4 different options you have. 4 things can happen. Either it can be an increase or decrease, or stability or fluctuation. I've given examples for all. I think it's pretty clear. Fluctuation is something when it ranges about the same number. For example, it started at 5, it went up to 6, it ended up back at 5. So I'll call it a fluctuation. Decrease we have already done from 7 to 5. Stability is 5 to 5. It didn't change, the value remained constant. So you end up using it. Now, what's the inference you get from here? If in your diagram, there are 2 things you're going to say, so we are going to use the word more. You are going to use the word more or less. If there are more than 2-3 items, you are going to use the word maximum. If there are years given, you are going to use the word increase and decrease. And if all the things are given, if there are countries also and years also, you're going to make the comparison between years also you're going to make the comparison between countries also. You'll come to know which word to use, and you'll use the perfect word at the perfect place. Okay. It becomes more clear as I go on. So don't worry if you didn't understand it. I'll clarify it as we practice. Okay. In this case, there were 16 countries. So I knew the word that I had to select was maximum. Is it clear? I didn't think much. I know my rule. My rule is if there are years given, increase and decrease. If there are 2 or 3 items, more. If there are more than 2, 3 items, maximum. Here are 16 countries, maximum. And then I did the comparison. I know what comparison is. Maximum, I know the meaning. So I saw what is maximum, Georgia and Slovakia, and Sierra Leone was the minimum. That's it. In the 4th step, that's when you actually write. So these are my steps these are the steps that I follow. In the 4th step, I'll just make the comparison. I'll write it in words. So overall, I just wrote Georgia and Slovakia had the highest literacy rate, while Sierra Leone had the least literacy rate. There's nothing else in this diagram, no other comparisons possible, only comparison between countries. So no other line can come. If a line can come, otherwise I prefer to write 2 sentences in my overall, but here only 1 comparison is possible. So I can't write a second sentence. It's a problem here. However, for this case, I've given you a special case. What would I have done if I had to write one? See, if you look at the diagram, there are 2 countries which have 100% literacy rates. There are only 2 countries. Maximum is something else. What does maximum mean? Can someone clarify again? What does maximum mean?
Highest one.
Highest one, more than everything else, right? So when I say Georgia and Slovakia are the highest, it means they are more than everyone else. In the second line, I could have written Georgia and Slovakia were the only 2 countries where every citizen was educated because their literacy rate is 100%. So I could have written that here. Georgia and Slovakia were the only 2 countries where every citizen was educated. So that could have been my sentence. Or I could have made the sentence for these 2 countries, the bottommost, because if you look at it, these are the only 2 countries where the literacy rate is below 50%. So I would say Pakistan and Sierra Leone were the only 2 countries where less than half the people were educated. So I could have made the sentence with the bottom 2 countries, or I could have made the sentence with the top 2 countries as a second sentence. It's not really read. It's just a special case. I'm telling you, if you have to make something, you can make it like that. Otherwise, it's not needed. But normally, I prefer 2 sentences in my overall. Here, it was not possible. So I thought outside the box and I came up with something like that. Okay. Is this step-by-step process clear? Because you are going to do that now. I'm going to take you to the next question and you are going to be doing it. Step 1, clear. Calculate the types of comparison. Step 2, figure out which word you're going to use. Step 3, do the comparison. And step 4, write it down. That's it. And your overall is done. That's it. So you're going to follow these steps. So let's come here to this graph. Tell me here how many comparisons are possible. Well, don't look here. Please look at the left side. Tell me how many comparisons are possible. Type of comparisons.
2 types.
2 types. One between and the other between.
One
More
is
than
within the
husband.
group and one is between the group.
One is between the sports. Football, rugby, basketball, badminton, fishing and horse riding. Yes. And the second one will be between?
This watching and participating.
Participating.
Yes. So said the second one will be the percentage of people who participated and the percentage of people who watched these games, who played and who watched these sports. Is it clear?
Sir, could you please repeat it?
See,
Watching and the second one would be?
participating. Here it's given watching and participating. One is between them. Are the watchers more or participants more? Like, are
Okay.
people who watch more or participating more? And the second one will be which sport. So for example, which is the most popular sport? For example, if you look here in participation, fishing is the most, right? Can you look fishing data for participation? The second bar is participation. If you look at participation, which sport has the maximum participation? Fishing.
Fishing.
So like that. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you figure out the words. We just did this as a second step. When we are comparing the viewers and participants, we are going to use the word more because there are how many things? 2. When we are comparing the sports, we are going to use the word maximum because how many sports are there? 6.
6.
Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if there were 2 sports, then I would have used the word here also. Which word?
More
More.
or less.
More or less. I would have used the word more or less. So don't think I'll make one sentence with maximum. You don't decide what word you're going to use. The graph tells you which word to use. So don't go with I'll make one sentence with maximum. Students come to me and say, so tell me the maximum sentence in this diagram. There's no maximum sentence because there were 2 sports, there are 2 these things. How can I make a maximum sentence? How can I make a sentence with increase and decrease if there are no years? So the graph is going to determine the words that you will use, not the other way around. Okay, now we are going to make this comparison. I'll show you how I actually end up making it. So first of all, when I'm going to compare watching and participating, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it 6 times. First, I'm going to take football. I can't go to rugby because if I go to rugby after football, then I'm comparing football and rugby. Just stay at football for now. Look at the watching and look at the participating. So watching is more than participating. You can see watching is around 40%. Participating is only around 10%. So I come to know in football, watchers are more than participants. So I write W here and I move on to the next thing. Now this comparison is over. Then I'm going to do the same thing for rugby. I did it for rugby. I come to know again, watchers are more. Then I came to basketball. Again, looked, watchers are more, participants are less. I wrote it here also, basketball. Then I came to badminton. Same thing I could notice. Then I came to fishing. Fishing is an exception. Sorry, I had to write fishing. Fishing is an exception here. Okay, sorry, I wrote it wrong. Fishing is an exception. In fishing, participation is more, not watchers. So I'll write watch participation there, right? P is more participation. The second bar is more than the first one. And finally, I came to horse riding. Here also watching is more than participation. So I ended up making this comparison. Now I know there are 6 sports. In 5 of them, viewership is more than participation. In 1 of them, participation is more than viewership. So I can come to know. Now the second comparison I'm going to make is sports. I'm going to compare the sports. Same principle. When you compare the sport, don't change the watchers or the participants. For example, when you're comparing sports, take football, take the viewers, and take the viewers of the next sport. Don't take the participants. Otherwise, you're comparing the viewers with the participants. Don't do that. Just move on from viewer to viewer to viewer to viewer to viewer. And you end up comparing the sport. First sport, I looked at viewers. How many viewers? 40. Second sport, viewer around
30.
Next sport, 37. Next sport, like that. And you moved on. And you figured out which sport has the maximum viewers. Football and horse race and riding. Nearly 40% for both. Football and horse riding and racing. Then you look at participation. Find out which sport has the maximum participation. Football, 10. Rugby, 20. 25. 25. 50. 24. Maximum participation with sport, fishing. So participation maximum in fishing. So I've made 2 comparisons here. One is between viewers and participants, and one is between watchers and one is between sports. In sports, my answer will be, for watchers, my answer is football. Maximum participation, maximum viewership is in which sport? Football. Maximum participation is in which sport? Fishing. So I'm going to write it here. See, look, among the 6 sports, I'm comparing the sports. Football and horse riding and racing has the maximum viewership. It's in present. There is no year. So I'm writing the word has. These 2 sports has the maximum viewership. I should have written, I made a mistake here. Have, because it's plural. There are 2 sports. Have the maximum viewership, while fishing has the maximum participation. I wrote a while here because viewership is maximum in some other sport. Participation is different in some other sport. If participation was also maximum in the same sport and viewership also in the same sport, I would not have written the word while here. Then I come to my second feature. This feature is ended between the sports. Then I come to the viewers and participants. I wrote also viewership is more than participation in all the sports except fishing, because fishing participation is more than viewership. So that's how I end up writing my overall. Is my overall clear? How to write it?
Yes, sir.
Clear?
Sir, can we write in place of maximum, can we write the highest?
Yes, you
I'm
can
quite
write
confused
highest also.
about-
Yes. Yes, you can write highest. Highest and maximum mean the same thing.
I'm quite confused whenever
No,
writing this.
no. I'll tell you there's a slight difference. Highest is used with countable things. Maximum can be used for both uncountable as well as countable. So that's for example, you cannot write highest air. You'll write maximum air. You cannot write highest space. You can write maximum space. So with uncountable things, you have to write maximum. But wherever there's countable things, you can write highest also or maximum also. That's the difference. But you don't think about that difference. It'll be overthinking. You can use them interchangeably. Don't overthink this. Okay. If there is no year given, we have to write more or less no. Okay. Jasleen had a question. Jasleen says, if there are no years, I have to write the second feature with more and less. Jasleen, it's not true. Now let me give an example. Here, if it was watching, participation, one more thing, there were 4 things here also. Then I would have used maximum first time, which is between sports. And the second time also I would have used which word? Maximum. Don't think like that. You're imagining that you will use the first sentence with maximum. It's not in your hands. Here, I used one sentence with maximum because there were 6 ones. And the second one I'll use more because there were 2. If there were 4 things here, then I would have used which word? Here also I would have used maximum. So I would have had 2 sentences with maximum. And Nafisa, largest is also correct. All of them are correct. Are you clear with that principle, Jasleen? Let the graph tell you the word. Don't think I'll use more or less. The graph will tell you. Okay. If there are 2 things, you'll know more. If there are more than 3 things, you'll know, okay, no, maximum. I have to use maximum. Okay. Is this part clear?
Sir, I must ask you something also.
Yes. Yes.
We talk about maximum, highest, and the largest. And just one thing, then sometimes when we use the most or the least, after that, a noun should come. Am I right?
Yes. No,
Suppose the most
the
number
sentence
of
can end with the most
or
also.
the most value.
It can, it was the most popular. The participation was the most. Cricket. Let me ask. It's a grammatical thing. I'll ask ma'am and confirm. I think you're right, but I'm not sure. I haven't thought about it like that. I can't think of a sentence in which most is not followed by a noun. So I am inclined to believe yes, but I need to think about it more. Okay. I'll think about it. Let me think about this one. Any other doubts? Is it clear? So now you're prepared to write one? Okay, go. Right. Look at the left one. Tell me the types of comparisons possible. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many possible? How many? How many?
Two.
2. One is between what?
Years.
And the second one?
Workplace.
Workplace. Perfect. Workplace. Sales, computing, accounting, nursing, farming. Perfect. Which word will you use when you compare the workplaces?
More than.
Not more than. Which word?
Increase, decrease.
No, when between workplaces. How many workplaces are there?
There's
How many workplaces? 5.
5. Yeah.
What word do we use? Maximum.
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 Okay. When we compare years?
increase, decrease.
Yes.
Decrease.
In years, you don't think 2 or 3 years. In years, you're going to write increase. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we are going to make the comparison between years first. So let's make that comparison between years. Okay. So you're going to change the year. Don't change the sector. Don't change the workplace. You're not going to come from sales to computing. That will be comparing the sectors. So you're going to keep in sales. You're going to look at the first year. Then you're going to move to the second year. First year, 180. Second year, it's going up. So what happened in sales?
Increase.
Do the same for computing. What happened?
Again, increase.
Okay. Accounting,
Decrease.
nursing,
Increase.
Farming.
Decrease.
So now you looked at it, accounting and farming decreased, whereas sales, computing, nursing increased. So we are going to write that. Employment. And what is this data? This data is showing number of people employed. So we are going to write number of people employed in sales, computing, nursing increased, while percentage of people employed in accounting and farming decreased. So also the number of workers in sales, computing and nursing increased, while the number decreased in accounting and farming. Is it clear?
Can we write
Yes.
after degrees the adverb in the overall
Adverb, yes.
overall paragraph?
But what happens? I'll tell you. See, there are different sectors, right? So farming, there's
Yeah.
a slight decrease. In accounting, there can be a large decrease. So what will you write? In one, the decrease was large. Then in the other, the decrease was small. But you're combining all the decrease. So you will.
Yeah.
It becomes difficult to write here because the decrease can be different. See, in this case, it's easy because all of them are increasing slightly or decreasing slightly. But
Yeah.
that's not always true, right? So it'll be problematic for you. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now let's do the maximum. Again, don't change the year. For sale, take the first year. Don't come to the second year. If you come to the second year, you're making a comparison between years. So I kept the first year for sales. Then I looked at the first year for computing. Then I looked at the first year for accounting, then nursing, then farming. And I figured out the maximum was in sales. So the maximum number of people were employed in sales in year one. Then I looked at the year two. Again, I looked in the year two also, the maximum number of people are employed in sales. So I'll write that. The maximum number of people had the maximum number of workers in both the years or over the given period. Is it clear? So that's my overall. And between the two features, I use an also to differentiate between the two features. Can you write increase and decrease here? Trend? Okay, Mehak, you can write. So her question is, can we write increase and decrease trend? So she said employment in sales, computing, and accounting and nursing showed an increasing trend. Okay, while in the other case, it showed a decreasing trend. That's your question, right? In one case, it showed an increasing trend, while in farming and accounting, it showed a decreasing trend. So that's a question. Okay. I don't do it normally, and I'll tell you the reason why I don't do it. It lengthens my sentence. And I want my introduction overall to be short. So I don't do it for that purpose. But if you can write in such a way that you can write a short sentence, then why not? Second reason, I don't recommend it because in before increasing here, and comes, and student miss this and. They don't write this and properly, they'll forget. So they end up making grammatical mistakes here. They won't write a decreasing trend. So when I cover this sentence, first of all, it becomes lengthy. Second of all, students start making these grammatical mistakes. They'll eat the and, they'll eat the So I have stopped using this sentence it's not in my dictionary anymore. But it's not wrong. You can use it. It's not wrong. I don't recommend it for the two reasons I explained. Because students end up eating these two words and it makes the sentence a bit more lengthier. This comes out to be a little bit shorter and this becomes a little bit lengthier. So that's it. Does that answer the question, Mehak? Okay, good. Anything else? Any other questions for overview?
So, sir, basically the overall view is two sentences.
Yes.
If we have two types of comparisons,
Yes.
suppose we have one sentence between the groups and one sentence within the groups, and we can make one of them based on the data or like if it's increasing or decreasing or whatever is in the
Yes.
graph, we can make it a complex sentence by while or anything else.
Yes. And you cannot make it. It depends upon the data. If the data has a comparison, then yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, based on the graph.
Yeah, based on the graph. Everything is based on the graph. You don't decide anything. The graph tells you what to do, right? You're just presenting the information. You can't make comparisons. Everything is same, right? So it depends upon the graph completely. Okay. I hope it's
Okay,
clear.
sir, but
Yes.
but just for expanding this in the body paragraph, I think this question is a bit too early, but I think for expanding that, we need to write them separately, like exactly like overall view. Means in one sentence we clear one, and in another sentence we clear another type of comparisons,
No,
right?
no,
Or
not
like,
no. Let me clarify for the body paragraphs. So
oh,
what I do for the body paragraphs is out of the two comparisons, you pick one. For example, the one which is more like this, it takes time for you to write. For example, increase. There are 5 options here. The maximum just ends with 2, maximum and minimum. You're going to pick up this comparison, increase and decrease one, and you're going to make your body paragraphs based on that. For example, in the first paragraph, you're going to write the sectors in which there was an increase. In the second paragraph, you're going to make the sectors in which there was a decrease. You won't mix up the comparisons in the BP, because if you end up mixing it up, you will get confused. The examiner will get confused. You cannot do comparisons like that. You start a comparison, you finish. You make the whole body paragraphs according to that comparison. For example, in my body paragraph, the comparison will be between, I'll start with these 3 sectors and tell what happened, increase. So I'll firstly write about sales, then I'll write about computing, then I'll write about nursing. I'm done with my first BP. Then I'll come to the second BP. I'll talk about accounting and farming, and I'll show that there was a decrease. I'll not start by showing its maximum, this is minimum, because if I start doing that also, it becomes confusing. I hope that's clear. So in the body paragraph, you have to follow only one feature. You don't start by messing both of them up together. That messes up the graph. Is it clear?
sir, you mean that we have to just consider one
Yes.
as one of the comparisons, and what
Yes.
about the other?
The other one is actually, you're done. The maximum one cannot be expanded beyond that. What will you write? Sales is the maximum and this is the minimum. What else can you write? That is not needed to be done. That gets finished in the overall itself. It doesn't need more explanation than that.
So it means we have to collect everything in group, right?
Yes, like you base your base your body paragraphs in this way. You combine them, you collect them. Like here, there's a similarity between sales, computing, and nursing. They're increasing, so
Right.
I'm going to combine them, and then I'm going to do accounting and farming.
They are in one group, right?
They're in
Those who
one
are
group. Yes, yes.
Right. Okay.
The whole point of body paragraphs is to give a theme. Don't randomly write. Students write, sale was this much, sale increased. Computing was this much, computing increased. Then they'll write about accounting. It becomes so boring. You're just giving data. So you give a theme to your paragraphs. For example, the theme of my first paragraph is increase. In the first paragraph, I'm mentioning the workplaces in which there was an increase: sales, computing, and nursing. In the second paragraph, it's about decrease ones. Is it clear?
Right. Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. This is clear, but just one thing else I need to know about, you said in the body paragraph we have to write like that, and okay. My question is about overall. So you
Yes.
say when we write in overview something like another one that we cannot expand maximum or we cannot expand minimum. It's
Yes.
not necessary that we write it in body paragraph, because I thought when we mention something in overall view, we have to expand it in any way in body paragraph. That's why like I have doubt. Like if I write it in
No.
overall view and if I
No.
don't expand it there in a body paragraph, there is no issue.
No, there's no issue. You don't need to. That's
Okay.
not a rule. Overall also you're giving information in brief. In body paragraphs, you're giving the information in detail, but the information doesn't need to be the same information. Is it clear? That's
Yes,
the principle.
but generally, sir, I used to write like maximum or like minimum or whatever, like exactly you said, like in overall view. And I used to expand even that idea like with figures, because generally there is a rule that they said that we
Okay.
shouldn't write the data
Yes.
in overall view. So like when
I'll
we
give the
write
data.
maximum,
Yes, I'll answer this. Okay. Nafisa, I'll also give the data in the body paragraph, but I will not repeat that it is the maximum. Why do I need to repeat that? I've already told it is the maximum. I'm giving the data in the body paragraph. I'm expanding on it, but I'm not mentioning again. In fact, that would count as repetition. It would result in loss of bands rather than increase in bands.
Okay, so where is the location of this? Means like you say first body paragraph. Suppose in body paragraph first sentence will be like about like
Sales.
increasing, like grouping those three. Means like sales, computing, and
I don't need to
sales, computing,
combine
and
them in there are different ways to write. I don't need to write all them combined. I can start with sales. I can say it in the first year, this was 180,000. It increased slightly to 190,000 in the second year. Then I can say similarly in accounting, in computing also there was an increase. And then I can finish with talking about nursing. Or I can make a first sentence with mentioning that there was an increase in sales, computing and nursing, and then giving their data. This increase from this to this increase from this to this increase from this to this. It's your wish. Whatever you want to write, you can. The point is the theme is increased. Show that there was an increase. That's it.
Okay. And in second paragraph, you suppose write about the other team, like
Yeah,
or another
the decreasing
category.
one. Yes, yes.
Okay. So, but that maximum minimum that I mentioned already, so
Yes.
I can write it at the after that, means like I can just mention in a sentence that this is this number and that is that number, and I don't need to mention the maximum and minimum because I already
we've
said
already
about that
mentioned,
in
yes.
overview.
Yes, we've already mentioned it, so we don't need to repeat that.
Okay then. Okay then. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so now do it. Now this is complicated. Number of comparisons increase here. Tell me how many comparisons are there in this graph? Look at it properly.
The supermarket A, B,
A and B.
Three
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 comparisons. Okay,
comparisons.
tell me which ones.
Between markets,
So
number
between
of years.
supermarkets. Okay,
full fat milk and low fat milk, and EOs.
okay. Sorry, okay. So between supermarket A and B, right? Between full fat milk and low fat milk, and between years. Is it clear for everyone?
Yes.
So there will be three comparisons. Now tell me the words. Which word will come between supermarket A and B?
More or less.
More and less. Okay. Which word will come between full fat milk and low fat milk?
More and less.
More and less.
And between years?
Increase.
Maximum and minimum.
No.
Decrease.
Increase and
In years,
decrease.
whatever happens, you're going to write increase and decrease. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So now I'll tell you, save the increase and decrease for the body paragraphs. You're going to write, there are three features. You cannot write three of them in the overall. So what we are going to do, we are going to do two features in the overall, and we are going to cover the third feature in the body paragraphs. So I'm going to save the increase and decrease for the body paragraphs. And the first, the comparison between the supermarkets and the comparison between the milk types, I'll do in the overall. That's what I'm planning. You can do it other ways also, but that's how I do it. I'll write one feature, I'll save. When there are three comparisons, I'll save one comparison for the body paragraphs, and I'll do two body paragraph, two features in the overall. So let's see here. Let's do it. First, years. Tell me, years. What will you look at the years? So what did I tell you? Change the years, don't change anything else. So I'm going to keep supermarket A, I'm going to keep full fat milk, and I'm going to just change the years. So let's change the years. Full fat milk, what happened? Price fell, stable, fell. What's happening from top to down? It's coming down. So for me, full fat
Decrease.
milk in supermarket A,
Decrease, that's right.
Decrease.
okay. Then I looked at which one? Low fat milk.
Low fat.
First it decreased till here, then it increased, then it decreased again. So it's kind of like fluctuating.
Fluctuate.
Good. Then you come to supermarket B, again do the same thing. Let's pick up full fat milk. So stable. It comes down. You can consider it to be a decrease. So I consider it to be a decrease. Then you come to this one. It first increased, but then it
Decrease.
I would also
Decrease.
consider it a bit
Decrease.
decrease. Even if you consider it a fluctuation, it won't matter. But I considered it a decrease. So that's what I got for increase and decrease. But it's not, you don't need to do it in the overall. I was just telling you, if you needed to do it, you would have to do it like this. Okay. Let's do the other one. Can you do, I won't open the next slide. Will you do it? The other ones? I have done it here, but I want you to do it. So can you do it? Someone wants to do between supermarkets. Let's see how you end up doing it. Tell me, compare the supermarkets. Compare, tell me. So what did I tell you? Don't change the other things. So take 1 year, take 2008 only, and don't change the milk type also. Take which milk? Full fat. So tell me, what can you see? Which is more?
Supermarket A is more than supermarket B
Perfect.
in
Now,
2008.
yes. Now let's come to 2009. What is more? We'll keep the same milk. Here
Both are
it's
same.
both are same. Good.
Same.
Third year, which is more?
A.
A.
Fourth year,
Supermarket A.
fifth year.
A.
Okay. So in general, you can tell me what is more. Prices of full fat milk are more where? Were more where?
Supermarket.
In supermarket A.
A.
Hey, good. Now let's compare low fat milk. First year, what's more? A or B?
A.
A. Second year,
A.
B.
B.
look properly.
Same.
Same. Third year,
A.
A.
fourth year,
A.
fifth year.
A.
A.
Okay. So low fat also more in A, right? So it becomes very easy and you end up writing it. So we'll end up writing it like that. Just hold on. Okay. So in general, full fat milk was costlier in supermarket A. And in general, low fat milk was costlier in supermarket A. Sorry, I wrote B here. So I wrote it here. Also, the prices for both the milks was higher in supermarket A than supermarket B. Is it correct? Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Instead of more, I've used the word higher. That is also correct. You asked me this question in maximum. You saw this in higher now. It's the same thing. Now I come to the other comparison, which is between milks. So we'll compare the milk. Don't change the supermarket. Don't change the year. Make the comparison between the milks. So first year, what's costlier? Tell me. Low fat or full fat?
Low fat.
Is it surprising to you?
No.
No, it's not surprising. I thought in India, full fat is costlier. No, not true.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So isn't it surprising? Low fat is costlier. Okay. So first year low fat, second year low fat, third year. Tell me.
Remain same.
Not remain same. Fourth year,
Low fat.
fifth year.
Low fat.
Okay. Now come here. Supermarket year, B.
Same.
Same. Then
Low fat or low fat.
okay. So what? Low fat was costlier than full fat in both the supermarkets in general. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So that's my overall. I won't write the I won't write the other one here. The increase and decrease one here. I'll write that in my body paragraphs. Okay. So that's it. Overall, in general, full fat milk was cheaper than low fat milk in both the supermarkets. Full fat is cheaper or low fat is costlier. You could have written anything. Low fat was costlier or full fat was cheaper. Also, the prices for both the milks was higher in supermarket A than supermarket B. Here, instead of using the word more, I've used the word cheaper. You know the meaning of cheaper. Cheaper means price is less. So you can use synonyms like that for more and less. I hope that's clear. And I hope my overall is clear. Is it clear for everyone?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
good, sir.
Okay. So now you have I'm going to cover the body paragraphs tomorrow. So because I thought that will be enough for today, I've given you a homework here. I'm sharing this file right now. You have till 10 o'clock to share the answers. You can send it to ma'am. Okay. Or you send it to me. I'll start checking at 10. You can send all, they'll all pile up by 10 and I'll check from 10 to 11. I'll give you the feedback for all of you. So I won't check tomorrow. I won't check after 10. I won't do it because it keeps me busy. I don't want to be busy. I want to do other things after 10. I have to prepare the body paragraphs. I have to do other things. So you have 3 hours. You just have to write 3 overalls. It's a little bit of work. Please do this in the next 3 hours and you can send it to me. After ma'am's class, you can do it. Okay.
That is only overall view.
Yes, overall, and you can write the introduction as well. Okay. Introduction and overall body paragraphs we are going to cover tomorrow. I hope it's okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
So
can you
you
slide
please
up?
share the screenshots of this?
I'm sharing this file with you right now.
Oh,
Okay, I'll make a PDF and share this file. Anything else? Any other doubts?
Sir, can you slide up the slide? Just above. Yeah. In the while the price for the both milk was higher in the supermarket than supermarket big, in the majority of yearly majority of year.
In general, it covers that. In general, meaning not always. Okay, but in general, like Pritiman, you know Hindi a little bit?
Yeah, I know.
It means आम तौर पे बात करें तो in general. So it covers that. आम तौर पे बात करें तो वो cheaper है. Is it clear? So वो हो जाता है.
Yes,
वो लिखने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है. Okay.
Okay, sir. I get you.
Okay. So I do that shortcut, right? Because remember, you have to make a short overall. You don't need to make one. For majority also you can write. I cover that also. But you can cover within general also. You're right. Both are fine. Okay. Any other doubts? Can't we do maximum? Where? Okay. In this case, Devanshu, is that your question? Where will you do maximum? Tell me. Years. Okay. I prefer to write increase and decrease. Increase and decrease gives a lot more information than maximum. See, increase and decrease tells me that the price was more in the first years and it came down. Maximum will just tell me in 1 year it was maximum. That doesn't give me a lot of information. So I prefer writing whenever there's years. Increase and decrease gives me a lot more information than maximum. Means both, sir. Meaning you're going to do, then you're making the comparison between years and maximum. Then you're not comparing full fat milk and low fat. Then you're not comparing supermarket A with B. So I would say then you're losing bands because you end up comparing only the years. You do it twice. So what's the point of doing that? So that harms you, right? Because you didn't compare where is it costlier? Is it costlier in A or B? Is full fat cheaper or low fat cheaper? You're not answering those two important questions. You're just comparing years. It decreases. It is the highest in this year. You end up comparing the years again and again. So it's an injustice to the graph. You're missing a lot of important information. Okay.
So, sir, basically you divided all 3 types of comparisons into a body paragraph and the overall view.
Yes.
So the first 2 between supermarket A and B and the low fat milk and full fat milk was in overview, and you're going to compare the years and the trend of the years in the body paragraph, right?
Yes, right. Exactly. Okay. So that's it. I'll end the class. Ma'am will start the class again. You can rejoin. Okay. I have a problem, so ma'am will start it again. Okay. And I'll post the timing for the body paragraphs. When will we cover that? I'll post the timing. Okay. And again, you have time till 10 o'clock. I won't accept anything. I'll start checking at 10 and I'll give you the feedback after 10. That's it. Not tomorrow. Okay.